guys, it's Nassim here. Now, after using the iPhone SE3 for about a week now, the one thing that kept coming to my mind whenever I was using the iPhone SE3 on the day-to-day basis was this one simple statement that I feel wraps it up pretty perfectly. And that statement is, I think that the iPhone SE3 is the perfect phone for anyone who wants a standard iPhone. And I say this because a lot of us who watch tech videos often look at a very basic phone like the iPhone SE and think that it's the exact same phone as last year. It's boring and it's trash compared to other budget phones. And to be honest, you're right. But I think that those of us who are thinking about the phone in this way are totally missing the point of why this phone exists in the first place. We're not looking at the demographic of people who this phone would be absolutely perfect for, and that's why I say that our opinions can be sometimes flawed. So instead of thinking about why this phone isn't a good phone for you, the question that we actually should be asking when it comes to the iPhone SE3 is this phone good for the people that it's intended for? And if I'm being honest, the answer is yes. Because if you give the iPhone SE3 to your grandmother or older parent, they will more than likely enjoy it. If you give this phone to your younger son or daughter, more than likely they will enjoy it. And if you give this to someone who isn't tech savvy and wants an iPhone to do simple things, more than likely they will enjoy it. So it's not that the iPhone SE or any of the other budget phones are trash. You just have to think about if they're actually for you or not. And if you are someone who wants an iPhone but doesn't want to spend a significant amount of money on it, then the iPhone SE3 is perfect for you. And to further explain my reasoning for why I think this, here are some of the things that I liked and disliked about the iPhone SE3. Now, the first thing that I liked about my iPhone SE3 after using it for a week was the pretty great software. And I really loved how great the iPhone SE3 was able to run iOS 15. Like right here, you can see me scrolling through the OS, and throughout my week of using it, I was shocked that I didn't get any lags or hiccups along the way. Also, I really liked that I was able to use some of the older features on my SE3, like being able to swipe up to see my control center, being able to double tap the home button to pull up tabs, and the Touch ID being integrated within my passwords was all something that made me reminisce on older iPhones. And for me, it was like a trip to the past combined with the software of the future, and that's why I think that people who enjoy the older iPhones will be pretty happy with the SE3. And the last thing that I loved about the SE3 software was that it felt like it was actually made for this phone. Like I wasn't missing any significant features and was overall really satisfied with the experience. Now, the next thing that I liked and disliked about the iPhone SE3 after using it for 1 week was the pretty okay display. Now, the reason that I liked the display on the iPhone SE3 was because even though it was smaller compared to other phones, I think that in terms of resolution and quality, it held its own weight and left me pretty satisfied. The colors were vibrant, the sharpness was good, and the whole picture didn't compare to low budget specs, but that's where my likes about the display come to an end. Now, the first problem that I had with the display was that it wasn't that bright. Like whenever I would go outside and try to look at my phone, it was really hard to see even when I turned my brightness all the way up. And that's where the price really started to show. I also didn't like the fact that the screen didn't have a 120Hz refresh rate like on a lot of other budget phones. Like, don't get me wrong, Apple does again make pretty good 60Hz displays, but I feel like the standard refresh rate for a phone now is 120, and the fact that this is 60 makes it seem outdated. And now the last thing that I really didn't like about the display on the SE3 was the fact that Apple still decided to include those huge ugly bezels that nobody asked for. And I felt like if Apple really wanted to, they could have made the screen look like the iPhone XR and still gave us a 720p display so that it still will be considered budget and give us much more screen real estate. Like right here, you can see me watching a video and the bezels are so huge that there will be times where I get distracted looking at my reflection, and that was a huge problem for me. But besides that, I wanted to watch a video and play a game to give you guys an idea of what the display is really like. Now, the next thing that I liked and disliked about the iPhone SE3 after using it for 1 week was the pretty mid battery. Now, one thing that I liked about the SE3's battery was that if it wasn't using Google Maps or playing games, I could be able to make this phone last till the end of the day. I will be doing things like watching YouTube, listening to music, talking, etc. And if you're just doing those things, then this phone will last you for most of the day. But again, when I would use power heavy apps like Maps, I would have 3 hours of on-screen time and my phone would last me until like 4 p.m, which really wasn't that good at all. So I would personally say that if you are someone who is willing to use those power heavy apps, then you should always keep your car, regular or portable charger on you so that your phone won't die on you unexpectedly. Now, something that I loved about the iPhone SE3 after using it for 1 week was the amazing power. And if you guys didn't know, the iPhone SE3 has an A15 Bionic chip, which is the exact same chip that you can find in the latest iPhones, starting from the iPhone 13 mini all the way to the 13 Pro Max. And if I'm being honest, I would say that the power held up really well. Like right here, you can see me playing a power heavy game and there are no hiccups whatsoever. There were even times where I was on the phone while I was playing, and again, the phone didn't freeze or slow down on me. The processor is really what made this phone feel fresh, because everything else on the SE3 is old, but the power makes this phone feel much faster and smoother. I also really like that whenever I was using power heavy apps, my phone would get hot, but not to the point where I should be concerned. Like on a lot of other budget phones, the back would get hot to the point where I couldn't hold it anymore. And if you are someone who is interested in buying the iPhone SE3, then one benefit is that it will last much longer than any other budget phone, not only because of the processor, but also because you will be able to update your phone for the next 5 to 6 years. Now, the last thing that I really liked about the iPhone SE3 after using it for a week was the pretty great cameras. Now, the camera on the iPhone SE3 was a bit surprising to me when it came to camera and light, because when you look at it from an outside standpoint, it looks as outdated as any other iPhone. But when we look at these daytime outside photos, we can see that this is where the camera was able to shine. My selfies were surprisingly good, the accuracy was on point, and the resolution was mildly sharp. And now when we look at the inside daytime photos, we can see that the camera again was able to shine in really good lighting. The sharpness wasn't always there, but was still acceptable. My skin tone looked great, and the objects look really good. Next up, when it came to the outside nighttime photos, I would say that this is where you could tell that the camera was budget. Don't get me wrong, it was good for a budget camera, but if I were to post a pic on social media, people would definitely be able to tell that it was from an older camera. And now the last environment was the inside nighttime, and again, it looks exactly the same as the outside nighttime photos, but it does have a little more grain. And whenever the lighting was right, I was still able to capture a pretty good picture, and it could be better, but again, this is a budget phone. And now when it came to video quality, I would say that this is the best budget video camera that you're going to get in the market. Every video that I took was good, especially when the lighting was right. And to show you guys what I mean, here's a sample video. And there it is, you guys, my 1 week review of the iPhone SE3. Now let me know down in the comments, are you getting the iPhone SE3? And if so, then why? Let me know. And if you guys made it to the end of this video, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it'll be very appreciated. And as far as social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.